Welcome to For $1 Billion More podcast. I'm Ram. I've invested in 25 odd startups, raised money for a few, and scaled a bunch of them. In season 1 of this podcast, I interviewed a bunch of founders and investors in the startup ecosystem. In season 2, I'm sharing my own perspectives. All startups need capital, no doubt. Most founders have this dream in their eyes कि बस एक VC कन्विंस हो जाए, इतना पैसा मिल जाए, मैं तो फोड़ दूंगा. Oh yes, if you have credibility in the startup space and if you can convince a big venture capital firm to invest in you right at the beginning of your journey, that's awesome. But that's not always possible. Given the context of your own startup, you need to look at all possible options. What are these options? First of all, your own money. Investors do expect founders to put some capital upfront to get things off the ground. This is also a sign of confidence on what you have set out to build. If you as a founder are putting in zero money and are expecting others to come and pump in something, it raises doubts in the investor's mind. Secondly, look at friends and family. Assuming you're just starting out, best place to start exploring for funds is your close network of ex-colleagues, especially your ex-managers or ex-bosses. Many people are wary of asking their family members for money. That's your decision. But at least be cognizant that that is an option you can explore. These are the people who know you very well. And especially if your ex-bosses can put some capital in you, that adds a certain level of credibility to you and your startup. My own journey as an angel investor started when my friend and ex-colleague Milan Sharma started Intello Labs. He approached me just for feedback on his idea. One thing led to another. I invested in them and then I joined them full time, spent 4 years there eventually. But when unknown founders approach me for an investment at an idea stage, I always advise them to raise their first round from their own friends and family. Thirdly, don't ignore government grants. I once went to a meeting at Startup India Mission. There was a group of startup founders with me. One of them pointed out he had applied for some 15 to 20 different grants on their website. Everyone there was flabbergasted. Wow! The Startup India team was quite delighted, pleasantly surprised actually, that at least someone was trying hard to take advantage of the money the government is offering. If you are a startup founder, you should spend that extra effort too. Number 4, accelerators, angel groups, syndicates, the whole jingbang. Now I'm clubbing these names together because of the way the ecosystem has evolved. Most accelerators have some partner angel groups or investor syndicates associated with them, and vice versa. Depending on the stage of the startup, the founder would be directed to one part of the ecosystem or the other. If I were to take an example of Angel Bay, run by Saurabh Agarwal, if you're a founder and you approach him for funding, if you're way too early, he'll direct you to Pedal Start, an accelerator in his group. If you've already got some element of product market fit established, you're seeking 1 to 5 crores for growth, he'll fund you through Angel Bay. If you've already scaled well and are looking to raise, let's say, $10 million, then he'll play the role of an investment banker, go to VCs in his global network, not just the Indian network, and help you raise that money. And there are many such angel groups. If you make it to one of these groups and eventually if you're able to scale well, your subsequent growth capital can also be easily arranged. By the way, if you work with government-run accelerators, then you have much easier access to the government grants as well. So make sure you explore that. Number 5, debt. Now, debt can take many different shapes. Believe it or not, some early stage startups, and I mean less than 2 year old startups, actually managed to get debt from a PSU bank. Let me repeat that. A less than 2 year old startup managed to raise loan from a PSU bank. It took them 6 to 12 months to crack it, but they eventually did get that loan. As part of government initiatives, banks also have mandates to fund such MSMEs, startup businesses. It's not easy, but then who told you startup journey would be easy, right? There are also several NBFCs and venture debt firms in India, but most of them give debt to startups only after they raise Series A. Having said that, I know at least one early stage startup who got a term sheet from a venture debt firm. Unfortunately, their condition was that the founder had to give personal guarantee and somehow it fizzled out. But at least, the venture debt firm was happy to explore at an early stage, and you should keep that option open as well. Then you have alternative investment platforms. These days, you have a plethora of options like Giraffe, Grip Invest, Credex, blah, blah, blah. These broadly help you with two scenarios. If you have to buy or sell an equipment, can that asset, a physical asset, back an investment offering so that the capex problems can be solved? B, if you need working capital for the time between your raising of an invoice and you're getting the money from the customer, and this is especially true in B2B cases, can those invoices be discounted and your working capital problems be solved? There are many other similar use cases. You can do crowdsourcing of equity as well, but these platforms help you solve some of your capital needs. Then there is structured debt. There's a startup in my network. They're into manufacturing and selling of aromatic medicinal oils. It's a highly profitable business, but it needs capex right up front to set up these processing units. Traditional VCs, they were a bit wary of such a business. The startup went into the market seeking a mix of debt plus equity. They said, we are confident of our business and that we'll eventually see a good exit for the investors who come in now. Worst case scenario, we will buy back your equity at so and so rate. They did this round through an angel investment syndicate. If you're confident about your business, you can also build such structures. So to recap, large VCs with multi-million dollar checks are not the only source of capital for your startup. Explore all possible options out there. Could be friends and family, angel groups, accelerators, government grants, banks, NBFCs, alternative investment platforms, and so on. That brings us to the end of this episode. I'll be back soon. Founders, please share your questions so that I can address them in the upcoming episodes. And don't forget to follow me on this podcast or other social media mentioned in the comments. Thank you.